everybody, spiritual medium Joseph Tittel here. So, being that I am not doing my radio show that I've been doing for 8 years every week any longer, I decided to do a couple new things, and this is one of the new things that I'm going to be doing. But I want to let all of you know, all my fans, all of you wonderful, beautiful, amazing people out there, that I am very grateful for all of you. I'm grateful that you're tuning into this video, and I'm grateful to all of you on social media. Remember, you can find me on social media on Facebook under Psychic Medium Joseph Tittel, and you can also find me on Twitter under Medium J Tittel. So what I did is I put out a post on social media asking people about a Q&A. What I'm going to do maybe every week, every other week, I'm going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to post the post on social media announcing the Q&A, allowing people to leave a comment in that post with a question. Now, I won't be able to do readings through this because it's not possible for me to do so. This isn't for personal questions, so let me repeat that. This is not for personal questions, although I do believe some people did comment on that anyway. I won't be answering them. This is a Q&A specifically to ask about my work as a spiritual medium, spirituality, inspiration, and so forth. So, and I thank all of you that responded to the first post. It's been overwhelming. I'm honored by the amount of you that have responded. I'm going to answer all the questions in the order that they're received in the comments. And for all of you that are not on social media, you can send me your questions through my office at office@josephtittel.com, or just visit my website and click on the contact page, josephtittel.com. So going over to Facebook and to the questions. So let me start here. Let me first get a little bit of my hot cocoa. It's actually about, what time is it? 11:39 p.m. here outside of Philadelphia, PA on St. Patrick's Day, still for the next 23 minutes anyway. I have a little bit of insomnia going on, so I decided to do the video this evening. So let me start with my first question. Coming in from Sandy. Sandy is asking me, Joseph, can you talk a little bit more about the importance of the sun and how special it really is? I think we take it for granted. I think there's more to it than the common info, such as it gives us warmth, sunning provides vitamin D. Some people swear they can live off sun rays, and they sun gaze for benefits. I can speak. So yes, I agree with you. The sun is very, very powerful. I am really big in the study of ancient Egyptian culture, religious practices and such. And the ancient Egyptians worshipped the sun. Like, that was like their big thing. And the sun god Ra represents the sun and all of life. So the sun, I agree, is very powerful. And speaking of which, I just saw on World News tonight that we just had a major solar flare, which I believe are going to get worse over the years. See, we take so much for granted, and I agree with you, on this planet, and the sun's one of them, and the global warming. I mean, look at the winters and how they've been on the East Coast lately. And people think global warming means that we're not supposed to get that snow. But if you actually look at the way they describe it all to you, global warming is exactly why Boston got pounded with all the snow this year. And it's just going to continue to get worse. But water is another thing that we take for granted. And there's a gentleman by the name of, I hope I get this right, Dr. I can't pronounce his name. Massaro, I believe his name is. And he just passed away recently. But he was one of two people that actually discovered that words have power of changing the molecules in water. That's why I say now, love your water. What he did is he took water and put them in, I guess, little trays or what have you, and he took labels, and he labeled some with words like love, happiness, and joy. And then he labeled the others the opposite, the negative of that word, sadness, pain, and such. And then after freezing them and putting them under a microscope, the ones with the positive words formed beautiful, perfect, hexagon snowflakes. Beautiful. The ones with the negative words the snowflakes were all deformed and didn't form any perfect snowflakes at all, showing that the words, just even writing them down, have power in them themselves. So thank you for your question, Sandy. And yes, the sun is powerful. That's why also going back to our ancestors, that's what they celebrated. They celebrated the changing of the seasons, the solstices, the equinoxes, and all about the movement of the sun. They knew all about that stuff. And we have the spring equinox coming up in a couple days, and it's going to be really powerful because we have a supermoon going on, we have an eclipse going on, and we won't have another one for another 40 years or something like that. So it's not a common thing to happen. So it makes it powerful for all of us. I'm also going to be doing, hopefully, a small video on the spring equinox and how you can manifest beautiful things into your life. So let me move on to Jill. Jill says, do you have the ability to turn your abilities on and off? Or do you find yourself always encountering spirits and having premonitions no matter what you do? So, Jill, thank you for your question. It's actually kind of a little bit complicated, but I would say that I can sometimes turn it off. For the most part, I can turn it off. And that's only because of doing this work for over 2 decades. But overall, in the beginning, it actually led me down a pretty dark path because I couldn't turn it off. And I got to tell you, folks, there are dead people everywhere. So when it first started to come on strong for me, they were everywhere. They were in my face, and I didn't want it, and I didn't know how to get them to go away. I never had any teachers to teach me this or show me what was going on because it was so long ago. Over 2 decades ago, we didn't talk about mediums or mediumship. So that's why it led me down that dark path. But over the decades, I've learned how to control it. So I ignore it. I wouldn't say shut it off, but I ignore it, and I've learned how to ignore it pretty darn good. But there are times where I've been watching a news report, got information. Happened just recently with a young man that was missing in Philadelphia. I knew exactly what happened to him, where he would be found, and he was about a week or 2 later. I wasn't asking for that. I didn't want that. It just came to me. There's times walking out in public where I want to walk up to somebody in the grocery store and say, your dad's standing right next to you. But I won't do that because I think there's a place and time for that. And I don't think the grocery store is a place and time for that. But again, thank you for your question, Jill. Let's go to Derek. Derek, first, I want to thank Derek because, Derek, you sent me a card in the mail, and you put a lot of creativity into that card and sat down and wrote me a letter and mailed it to me through regular mail. And I'm honored that people actually sit down and take the time to write me letters. I get a couple of them every week. And I think it's great. And Derek, you were creative, and I thank you. Your question is to me, when you read something from someone or speak to a particular person, do you automatically sense spirits connected to them? Or does it take more preparation or being in a different state of mind? Do I have to ask you a question for you to connect with someone I lost and miss very much? Or do you already know? That's actually a really good question, Derek, and thank you for your question. Let me get a little hot chocolate before it gets cold. So actually, I'm what I like to refer to as a transcendental medium, and through years of practice of meditation, learning to get into trance alpha states of mind, I go into a trance when I am doing readings for people where I'm connecting to the other side. As a psychic medium, I do all the psychic stuff too. So with that, I don't necessarily need to be in a trance state. Yes, I meditate prior to all my readings and clients, but as far as connecting with the other side, I have myself self-trained to go into a trance state within 3 seconds. And with, maybe a little bit longer than that, but I count down to 3. And it takes me less than a minute to get into a trance state. And again, from years and years of practice, not all mediums are trance mediums. A lot of them are not. And I've met mediums who said they didn't even meditate, which just blows my mind. Like, to me, meditation is the key to opening you up. So when I talk to people doing a reading, they don't need to ask me a question at all. It just comes right on through. I don't ask people who they want to connect with or what, it's just open. It's an open connection. And it's not always a conversation with these people in spirit world either. Very often it's symbols and things that need to be interpreted. And again, from years of experience, I have a dictionary in my head of different symbols and what they could mean to different connections. So, like they say with practice makes perfect, and I'm not perfect by no means, of course, but I've been doing this a long time. So I would love to see readings that I did 20 years ago in comparison to today, because we all grow. No matter what you do, you grow. So it's much different for me now than it was then, and I probably didn't go into a trance as well back then as I do now. So it's much different. But still same connections. And I find that the deeper trance that I'm in, the better it is. The only negative factor about that for me is I remember nothing. So when I read somebody 10 minutes later, I don't even know what I just said to them, which is good for them, not always good for me. But I hope that answers your question, Derek, and I thank you for your question. Let's go to LJ. LJ asks me, when someone passed because of a long illness, is it possible to pick up their negative energy from the chair they used to use? I would feel really tired and fall asleep every time I sat there for a while after that person had passed. You know, that's interesting because after my mother had a favorite chair, and after she passed, I would go to her apartment by myself and sit in her chair and fall asleep in it many times. And so objects can hold energy, absolutely, without a doubt. Especially if you're sitting there and you're getting drained, of course there's an energy on it. There's even objects can even have spirits actually attached to them too. So that's pretty deep stuff, but I've come across things with attachments on it. Not always just people get attachments of spirits and things, but so do objects. Especially if somebody is so connected to something before they pass away, they can become attached energetically to that item. It's not as common as you would think, but as far as your experience, LJ, that definitely there is an energy on that chair for a little while afterwards. And that's why it's always good to use sage to cleanse things, especially when people give you things. It's not good to like buy a used ring and just put it on, a used ring in an antique store and just put it on. You should cleanse it and program it with your energy by running it through the smoke of, say, white sage or frankincense and myrrh, and then holding the object in your hand. And the same thing goes for crystals. Hold it in your hand, close your eyes, focus on your intention of what you want that object to promote for you. Take a deep breath in and then blow your breath onto the object, and you are programming it. And that's how you program and cleanse crystals too. Buying a crystal and putting it around your neck just isn't going to work. You got to cleanse it and program it. So thank you for your question, LJ. So let's go to Kathy. Have you ever done gallery readings, then had a huge group of spirits come in at the end to cross through the light? Well, that's a good question. So you're asking me, doing readings and come to the end, crossing people over through to the light. When I do a gallery, as you're talking about, which is a group of people, usually in a setting like somebody's home, to me, pretty much all those energies that I'm connecting to are energies that are already crossed over. Whereas there have been experiences when I did the television show for Mysterious Journeys in the Travel Channel, we went inside the Eastern State Penitentiary. Those spirits are a little different. They are earthbound spirits, or ghosts as we call them. And in that case, there were several spirits at the East State that I actually they were willing and crossed them over when I was there, which was awesome. I've had many of experiences with spirits randomly finding me and coming to me and crossing them over. I have a team of spirit guides and angels, and I pray and offer offerings to them all the time for them to cross over the energies that need to be crossed over. So that way I'm not need to do it. And then when I'm done doing a gallery reading or any reading, I always do a prayer, and I always point at the end to any energies to disconnect from me and go back into spirit where there's peace, love, and light. Because I've had spirits actually come to me that didn't want to leave me after I connected with them, which isn't good for my energy either. It's why I often get energy work done by somebody that does shamanic healing or IET therapy, which is integrated energy therapy. Thank you, Kathy, for your question. Let's go to Kelly. Joseph, my reading... Wait, that confused me. So someone says that I told them to write a book on herbology, Kelly, and she is doing that now. Awesome, Kelly, you go. Debbie, your question in here is, what is the best way to connect with your spiritual side? trying to be more positive person and make changes in my life? Well, first of all, Debbie, to meditation again is really, I always say meditation and dedication. Meditation is the key to it all. Meditation has been proven to lower blood pressure, relieve stress levels, and everything else. But also, if you follow me enough, you hear me constantly stress love and gratitude. Look at what I was just saying a few minutes ago about Dr. Massaro, who discovered the power of words through changing the molecules in water. The same thing goes with our lives. You got to watch your thoughts and words, because your words and thoughts literally are the blueprints to your future. So saying things negative like that's not possible, or that'll never happen to me, or I always have bad luck, things like that, you're saying to the universe, give it to me, or I don't want it. And you got to really watch that. So my advice to you, Debbie, would be the love and gratitude is a big thing. It changed my life back in 2012 when I first learned it. I learned it in January. It took me till June before I actually started to do it. And by the end of July, my whole life changed like that very unexpectedly. Ended long-term relationship and everything worked out. And I'm in a place now, and I look back and I'm so happy now. So this is the place to be. And love and gratitude did it. So let me tell you how to do that real quick if you're not familiar. And this is the way Spirit showed me. So every day, as many times a day as you possibly can, stop what you're doing. When you pay your bills, stop what you're doing. Thank the universe for allowing you to pay that bill and put love out to the universe. When you put money in the bank or money comes to you, stop. Thank the universe for that. When you have a good interaction with your kids or grandkids or a loved one, stop. Thank the universe for that moment in time, because you're not going to get that moment in time back again. As many times as you can, when you buy something new for yourself, especially when you sit down and eat a delicious meal or drink water, stop. Thank the universe for that and put love out to the universe. And to do so, here's what you got to do. Close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, tell yourself to relax in and out through your nose, and then focus on thinking about somebody, something, or some place that you love so dearly. When you do that, your heart energetically opens up and expands outward. And then you take that love and you put it out to the universe in whichever way works for you. And when you think of that, your heart smiles, and you'll probably smile depending on what you're thinking of. And then put that love out to the universe. When I do it, I'm a little weird, so I picture it as a comet shooting out into the universe, putting sparkles of love on the universe. That works for me. My friend pictures it raining love. Another friend pictures it as a wave of love. Whatever works for you works, but you've got to dedicate yourself to doing it. And like they say, 21 days breaks a habit, 21 days makes a habit. You got to do it for 3 weeks and dedicate yourself before it becomes a part of your lifestyle. And once it does, you'll be hooked. You'll be so hooked, because that 3 weeks, you'll start to see everything shift in your life. When you're having a bad day, because we all do, especially we're not programmed correctly. So this is all about reprogramming yourself. And when you're having a negative moment, somebody pisses you off, or you're feeling sad, stop and do what I call stop and drop. Drop into love. Close your eyes, think of somebody, something, or someplace that you love dearly. When you do that, again, your heart opens up and expands and shifts out of that negativity that you just experienced or thought or felt. It works. It's powerful. But I do prepare you all when you do this. It will change your life. So be prepared for change, because a lot of us don't like change. And at first, change can be difficult, but it always leads to the best. And that's what love and gratitude's all about. So I hope you will utilize that in your life, Debbie, because that's the first big thing, and watching your thoughts and reprogramming yourself. So let's go to nostalgia. Hey, Joseph, I would love if you would revisit it, the topic of earth changes. Many of your predictions predicted earthquakes in the California area, collapse of the financial system, and so on. What happened, and what do you see coming? So, again, what I see coming is all listed in my predictions, which you can find through my website by clicking into my blog or listening to my podcast, or going on YouTube and looking for my videos on my predictions. I only do my predictions once a year. It takes me a lot of time, a lot of effort, because I go into a trance state to receive that information through meditation. We all have the ability to do that. The information is up there, connected to God, connected to the source. We all have the ability to connect to the source through meditation and trance. And that's how I access that. And being it takes me so long, I only do it once a year. So I don't go back and visit my predictions at all until the following year. So as far as all that, I try not to focus. We know the earth changes are coming. I try to get out of that, because there was a point personally in my life where I was so freaked out and worried about it because I know what's going to happen and I know what's going on. But what I've discovered is worrying about it isn't going to get us anywhere. It puts us in a place of fear. And being in that place of fear causes us not to move. Because like I say, we have our intuition, which is your spirit guides and angels guiding you in the direction that would be for your best. And then we have these two devils on our shoulder, the fear and the ego. And the fear and ego talk us out of everything. So focusing on the earth changes and, oh my God, what's going to happen isn't going to help us any. What the natives have taught us is that spirituality is the key to it all, and getting back to that. Because when you're in that spiritual place of love and gratitude and joy, some people, we create our own realities. So for some people, it's going to be Armageddon. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. And for others, it's going to be a beautiful, amazing day. And I can't wait till tomorrow because it's going to be even more amazing. So remember, you do create your own reality. So don't go into the fear over the earth changes. Yeah, it's going to happen. We need it to happen in order to save this planet. And that's why all of us are here. We all came here to be a part of it. Some will be here still and some will be lost. It is what it is. But again, it's part of your contract and your agreement. So try to reach your bliss and your joy because you're going to be the one to make it through when you do. And I will leave you with that. Thank you for your question, Nostalgia. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Moving on to Jen. This is a wonderful idea. What would be the simplest explanation to describe the difference between a soul and a spirit? Or are they the same? Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Jen, for your question. You're cute. To me, my category, to me, a soul and a spirit is the same thing. Your soul is a spirit. But I like to categorize in my mind, means that we label everything. To me, there's a ghost and a spirit. A spirit is a spirit that's basically crossed over into the spirit world. A ghost, is a spirit that is earthbound and stuck here. They're both souls regardless. They're all souls. Soul, spirit, to me, same thing. So I hope I answered your question. Let's go to Deborah. In our afterlife, can we choose not to come back? I would like to believe, Deborah, my dear friend, that it is our choice. I know that for a fact, whether we come back and when we come back. And for years, I thought that, again, when I was younger, I wasn't up to par with all the knowledge. And I've learned so much from Spirit. But years ago, I would think that we waited a long time to reincarnate and waited for everybody. But I found that I was wrong. And I found that through Carol Bowman, who's an amazing past life therapist. And she said some of us come right back. And now I learned that too through Spirit, because Spirit has showed me the same thing. Sometimes you'll see in a family where one person dies and all of a sudden a baby's born or somebody's pregnant right afterwards. And very often, not always, but very often, that's the person coming right back. Sometimes that happens. But now here's another thing that I was taught by Spirit, is that a part of all of us here on this planet still exists in heaven. It gives us our direct connection to God, the source. And it gives like a medium. So if somebody's reincarnated, I would think, how am I going to communicate with them if they reincarnated? Well, apparently a part of us still always exists in spirit world. And it's hard for us to process. I like to say that our whole journey of our soul, the afterlife, God, all of that is so complex that we could never completely wrap our human brains around it. And it's amazing. God is good. God is amazing. And everything is actually based on numbers and mathematical equations, which is just even more amazing. So in the afterlife, we choose to come here. It's not an obligation. That's why when some mediums communicate with spirits, some come through in spirit world much stronger than others. Even though we're taught by Spirit that we're all the same age in spirit world, which is actually tens of thousands of years old. But now here, being in this life, doing this thing we call life, is college. We are not home right now. We are away from home. Home is the spirit world. We are away from home doing field work for college. That's what I like to say anyway. Let me get more of my hot chocolate before it runs out. So we're in college. We pick the classes before we come here. You come into this life with a book filled with 100 chapters. And some of those chapters are really good, that happy, blissful, joyful place. And some of those chapters are the worst possible scenarios. And out of those 100 chapters, you're only going to live 20 of them in this lifetime. And you actually pick them as you go along. And it's your choice what you pick through connecting with the universe and with Spirit. So you want to pick the best chapters possible now, don't you? And that goes to the lessons that we pick before we come into this life. It's so complex because there's so many different journeys. Like if you're single, in your contract, you could probably go in 3 different directions depending on where your vibration is. If you're in a low vibration, you're going to end up in a low vibrational relationship. If you're in a high vibration, you're going to end up in a high vibrational relationship, which is going to be much better and healthier for you. So it's all about focusing on you first and raising that vibration. Going back to Deborah's question about the afterlife and do we choose to come back? Can we choose not to come back? Yes, I would believe to say that it's our choice. It's all our choice. But the thing is none of us do choose not to come back. Some of us wait a while, but we always want to come back because our goal is to keep evolving, to become closer to God and the source, to evolve, because there's different levels and different layers in heaven. Even though it's all one thing, there's different layers and levels, and we're trying to work our way to the top. So we want to come back. That's why a lot of us come back right away, to evolve and get there quicker. But no, again, to answer your question, I don't think we have to come here. This is a choice. That's what I was taught by Spirit. It's our choice to come here. We don't come here because we have to. So thank you, Deborah, for your question. Let's move on to Karen. Any advice for good luck baths to energize us after this brutal winter? Well, a nice bath and some Epsom salts and sea salt is always nice, Karen. But also, I wouldn't refer to it as a good luck, doing things for good luck. If you're doing things for good luck, that means in your mind you think that you have bad luck. Remember, it's mind over matter. And if you're doing things because you feel like you need luck, that means, again, you don't feel lucky. Switch your thoughts. Because my grandma, I grew up constantly like, we're not lucky, our family's cursed, and if it wasn't for bad luck, there'd be no luck at all. And I had that drilled in my head from my grandmother when I was a kid. And it's only been the past few years where I realize and keep saying that I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate, and every day being alive is luck. And I noticed with changing my mind thought on that, everything's changed and shifted. So what my advice would be to you, Karen, now you can also take a bath in different essential oils, which is really nice. If you get a real high quality essential oil, it's always nice. But I would say that you're not really looking for an energizing bath for good luck, but how about a bath just to cleanse your energy and just to make you fresh and clean? And again, to do that, you can use some sea salt. Sea salt's one of the best things you can use. And you can use different essential oils. So I say it's based on really more of what you like and what you desire. Because you can make, I learned a long time ago that, casting a spell is really, the word spell, when somebody does a spell, is actually just an intention. So I can light a match and not have to go light candles and oils and incense and say all these prayers in order to do this spell. I can just light a match and put that intention out to the universe. If you go to church and pray at church for your sick Aunt Wilma, you're actually doing a spell, because a spell is actually putting an intention out to the universe. So again, put that intention that you're going to take a bath, Karen, just to wash off clear your energy, just to clear your energy. Once your energy is clear, of course you'll be energized, and I hope that helps you. If you go to thespiritshop.net, you'll also find different types of bath salts and stuff in there that can help you with cleansing. So check that out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I had a little bit of an issue with my audio matching up with my video, so I had to cut actually half the video out. So I'm going to pick up where I left off last. My next question is with Jamie. Jamie says, so many questions. I went to one of your group readings a bit ago, and during intermission, I noticed you off to the side by yourself. At that moment, I felt so sad for you. I was also with my friends and family members talking about some people's readings, and I thought, how much energy did you lose doing what you do? And also how demanding people are in general, that you just can't walk over and join in a conversation and ask how everything is going, how everyone is doing. I know when I went back in for the second half, I kept thinking how wonderful for you to have this gift that offers so many comfort, but also how you truly must see how quickly we can turn ugly and bitter on the inside when loved ones didn't come through to give us messages. Whoa, I was long-winded, LOL. K, why are you so distant at a reading? So that's a good question, Jamie, and thank you for your question, of course. So when I am a transcendental medium, which means that I go into a different state of consciousness through years of meditation and practice. And I've been doing this for over 2 decades, and I have the ability within less than 10 seconds to put myself into a trance state. You know, and it's like some days are better than others. Some days I'm easier able to go into that trance state, and then some days it takes a little bit more effort. But again, through years of practice, I do go into a trance state. Not all mediums go into a trance state when they access information. I've actually come across mediums that told me they don't even meditate. So to me, why would you not do that? Because meditation just opens you up even more. And, you know, you can always do better at whatever work you do by dedicating yourself and working hard at it. So the reason that I don't connect with people at galleries and such, and I step aside, a lot of times I actually go to my car, because very often from my experience in the past, a lot of people pick my brain during the break. And that 10-minute break that we take in between your gallery is a time for me to basically gather my energy back, gather my thought system back, and just get a little air, really. Sometimes I just got to get outside and get some air. It's nothing personal. I love my people, and of course I would love to chat with you all. But in order for you folks at that gallery to have a great, wonderful experience, I definitely need to take that break and get away and reconnect to the earth and get myself together. So I hope you enjoyed the gallery, Jamie, and thank you for your question. Let me go to Tina. How do you receive messages from spirit? Well, mediums, like I just said, I am a transcendental medium, and it comes in all different forms. Mediums receive information in 3 forms most commonly. And most commonly, you've heard the term clairvoyant, which is seeing the information. And seeing it is often in the form of symbols and things that need to be interpreted. And it's not seen with the naked eye, it's seen with the mind's eye. Being that I saw things ever since I was a little boy, I do see things with my naked eye, but usually it's not when I want to. It's when they pop up on me or sneak up on me and really kind of startle me at times. But overall, it's seen with the mind's eye. Then there's clairsentient, where the medium just gets the feeling, and clairaudient, where they hear it. Then there's also smell and taste that comes into it. I get all the senses, all 5, but again, it really depends, because the energies in spirit are the same. You know, some energies in spirit are better at showing the medium things clairaudiently, and some are better at showing the medium things clairvoyantly. So when I connect, sometimes I'll have some spirits that connect with me on the audio clairaudient way, and then some show me symbols and pictures. So it really depends. But overall, me, myself, personally, because I can't speak for everybody, I get a combination of all the senses. Thank you for your question, Tina. Let me go to Melissa. Melissa says, have you ever considered partnering up with a local paranormal group? As often after an investigation, the recommendation of using a medium to move spirits on correctly is advised, and let's face it, you are one of the best. Oh, thank you, Melissa. That's so sweet. I need some coffee. So I have been a part of paranormal groups before. I've been a part of, oh God, what was it they called? I did a show a few years back for the Travel Channel called Mysterious Journeys, and I worked with a group of paranormal ghost hunters from North Jersey for a while. We did a lot of ghost investigations together. I've done some work, I think, with the Fairless Hills Ghost Hunters, which is local to me. I've been on lots of different investigations, but the thing is I chose to opt out only because I have a busy schedule, and most of these paranormal groups do it as a hobby and have full-time other jobs, which means that they usually do it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Saturdays or Sundays are my busy days with clients, because it's when most people are off from work. So I just don't have time and energy to be a part of the paranormal groups like I would like to. And as far as crossing spirits over, when I connect for people at a gallery and such, those spirits are already crossed over. When I go to a place like when I did the show Mysterious Journeys, we went into the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. There were lots of earthbound ghost spirits there. And that's the difference in my mind. The difference is in my mind that a spirit is somebody in heaven that's crossed over. A ghost is an earthbound spirit that's stuck here. That's my definition of the difference. But, people may beg to differ with that. Now, when I was in the East State Penitentiary filming that TV show, I did have the opportunity to cross some of those people over, which was really cool. And it's only because they're willing to. I have a team of different spirit guides and angels that I work with, and I depend on them to cross over the energies. And anytime I'm done doing a reading and connection, I always do a prayer and offer up offerings to the spirits of thanks and ask Spirit to carry them forth for a safe journey to the light where there is nothing but love, peace, and happiness. So I thank you for your question, Melissa. So Amy has an interesting question here. What happens to souls in a mass casualty? Do they pass over easily, or do many of them stay where they all had died? Have any mediums tried to help a group of souls like that? Always been curious, but never heard anyone addressing this. Well, thank you for your question, Amy. That would take us to a thing like 9/11, for example, or even walk in the fields of Gettysburg, where the where the war took place. I just drew a blank. Not the revolutionary, but you know what I mean. To me, it's an obligation of whether we cross over or not. The light's there. Usually there are people there to encourage us to go into that light. To me, it doesn't matter. God is great. God is wonderful. So it doesn't matter whether there's a mass casualty like 9/11 where there were 3,200 people killed. But at the same time, there's that many people dying every day all over the planet. So I don't think it makes a difference as far as in God's eyes, because it's all the same. And again, it's still our choice of whether we cross over or not. And that's why I encourage people to always do a little bit of a prayer to make sure that your loved ones cross over after they pass, to show them the light, tell them that there's peace and love in the light, and that they can come back and visit anytime they want. Because sometimes they don't cross over because they think once they do, that's it and it's done. And that's not the case at all. So let me go to Lori's question in the Facebook here. So Laurie says, can you sense if someone has a spiritual gift of some kind but doesn't know it? Do you guide them and tell them if they do? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It comes up in readings all the time. And I believe that the clients that come to me because Spirit brings them to me and puts them in front of me. So I feel honored every time. And when that occurs, very often I find that people are pulled to me by their guides specifically so that I can put them on that path of healing and to utilize their gifts. There's many people, I've received many letters over the years of people who it came up in their session that they were supposed to do mediumship, or that they were supposed to do psychic readings or healing of some sort. I just had a client that just posted earlier about apparently it came up in her reading that she needed to write a book, and she just finished her book on herbs. That's awesome. So the answer is to that, Laurie, is yes, and thank you for your question. Let me go to Kate. Kate asks me, I had an amazing personal reading with you years ago, and what you told me then is still unfolding without fail. My question is this: how can someone discern whether what comes through is actually from Spirit or if it's from someplace else? Thank you. Well, thank you, Kate. Well, where else would it come from? That's what I say. Now, it is a good question, because look at things like Ouija boards that you buy at a toy store. Ouija boards are of a low vibration, and they attract low vibrational spirits. Low vibrational spirits, especially if you're in a low vibration and don't know what you're doing, will attach to you. And when they attach to you, they can make your life miserable. And it is actually more common than you would ever possibly imagine. It happens all the time, all around us, to friends and family members. And that's why we have people that do shamanic healing and integrated energy therapy and such, to help people to clear those energies and clear that space. But me, myself, when I'm connecting, I know from, again, years of practice and connecting with my spirit guides in my heart that information is coming from my spirit guides and angels. And I've gotten so much validation from them over the years that I know for without a doubt that they're there. They've taught me so much. They've never lied to me, and why are they going to start lying to me now? So, yeah, it could come from someplace else, for sure. But if you're going to a true psychic that's connecting, especially if you are having a connection with a deceased loved one and you were with me, I was in a trance state, so I was definitely connecting with those energies that you were wishing to communicate with. Thank you for your question, Kate, and I hope that answered. Let's go over to Rich. Joseph, what are your thoughts on the theory that past lives are really all simultaneous lives taking place at the same time at a different well, I think that word's a mistake there, but taking place at the same time but at different times in the Earth's timeline. Future lifetimes are also taking place now, but later on down the timeline, as it would be understood by us. I understand your little mind-twisting question there, Rich, and yes, I do truly believe, because there's a man by the name of Billy Meyer. There's a documentary called 2012 and Beyond, the Billy Meyer story. I watched it on Comcast. Billy Meyer is this older gentleman that lives in Switzerland, and he's been getting visits from the Pleiadians, which from the planet Pleiades that resides in the center of Orion's belt in the solar system, and that's where they come from. There are many different visitors we get from different civilizations on this planet, whether you believe it or not. It's fact. And Billy Meyer has been getting visits from them ever since he was a little boy, and he's been up in their spaceships, and he's got videotape of this from back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They actually had his videotape analyzed by Kodak, and Kodak said that there's no way that that tape was manipulated or changed in any way. And we're talking back in the late 50s and 60s when you couldn't manipulate tape without it being known. Billy Meyer actually had the Pleiadians took him back in time and took him all the way back to the time of the dinosaurs, and he's got videotape of this. And again, it's been proven that this videotape is not false. He's got pictures of him looking out the windows of the UFOs. It's awesome. You got to look it up and check it out. It's pretty wild, which shows, and I know that the history is still simultaneously exists, just like some of the visitors that we get from other solar systems. Who's to say that that's not us in the future coming to warn us and that we don't screw up and make the mistakes that we're making? It's very possible, so I do believe that. But here's what I was taught from my spirit guides and angels, is that your future, is all fully orchestrated for you. We all come into this life with a book filled with 100 chapters. Some of those chapters are really, really good, and some of those chapters are awful. And out of those 100 chapters, you're only going to live 20 of them. And you pick them as you go. They're all fully orchestrated for you, but it's up to you to pick those chapters as you go along. How do you pick the right chapters? You focus on connecting with your guides and angels, because they're always going to lead you in the direction that will help you reach your fullest potential. So basically, your thoughts and your words are programming the future already. So when you say things like, I have nothing but bad luck, that you're telling the universe to bring me nothing but bad luck. So I would say that maybe it goes out 2 years, maybe just a year, that the future is already existing, maybe a year or two ahead of us. But again, means that we have the ability, as Einstein said, to bend time and space. We have ability to change all that too. So it's not really necessarily written in stone. So I hope I didn't confuse any of you on that. And thank you, Rich, for your question. Let me go over to Peggy. Peggy, I'd love to sit down with you over lunch sometime and talk about the universe, stars, and the illusion we live in here on Earth that seems to be our reality. That goes real deep, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. There's no question there, but I hear you with that, Peggy, because I'd like to say all the time that God is great and God is amazing, and this whole universe is built on equations, mathematical and geometric things that are beyond anything we can imagine. Your whole journey here as a human, but as in the spirit world, God, heaven, the afterlife, the divine, is so absolutely complex that we could never wrap our human brains around it. And that's what makes God so amazing. Thank you for your comment there, Peggy. Heather says, where to begin, where to begin? How are you able to find out past lives that we have lived? Well, that's a good question, Heather. And where are you from, Heather? I don't see where you're from, but I would say that, first of all, depending on where you live, if you live in the Philadelphia area, we have one of the best past life therapists in the world, Carol Bowman. You can find her link on my website. We also have Dr. Brian Weiss. These are people that are actually therapists, licensed psychologists that basically stumbled upon past lives. They literally have proven that past lives exist. And the coolest part, because I went to school for past life regression and hypnosis, I don't do it because I'm busy within my own work. And when I recommend people to a past life regressionist, I don't recommend them to somebody that just does hypnosis and past life regression. I find that you have more success when you go to somebody that's an actual therapist that does hypnosis and past life regression. Because Carol, for example, will spend an hour with you before your session even begins, asking you all these questions about your life, so that she can take you back to the past life that's going to be most likely to help you with your current life. It's pretty amazing. When you go back, you remember everything and you see everything. And they take you back to certain points of your life, depending on the regressionist, to your birth, to your death. And it's pretty wild to watch yourself die in a past life because you don't feel it or anything, so it's amazing to watch. But they'll take you back to different time periods, and you see the people in that life that you live that life with. And the most amazing part to me is how, when I went back to certain past lives and I saw people in that past life, how I was so easily able to recognize some of those people from my current life here on Earth. How would I know that? That's the first thing I said. How would I know that that was that person? And they don't look the same. They're not the same sex or the same race. And we know that because of our soul, which is a computer chip that resides in the center of our brain. That's debatable, but the Buddhas and the monks and all believe that it resides in the center of our brain where the pineal gland is. In India, they believe in your chakras, and your highest chakra is your crown chakra, and your third eye chakra also. And in between there, your crown chakra is where the pineal gland is also. And you connect with spirit and God through there. Your soul is like a computer chip. It remembers everything. So every life that you ever lived, everything that you ever did is right there within your brain, in the center of your brain, and you just have to access it. The thing is it's referred to, where we are on Earth now, is referred to as being beyond the veil. And when we're beyond the veil, we lose the memory of heaven and the afterlife. And the reason being is we come into this life with so many contracts and agreements that if we knew about it ahead of time, a lot of times we wouldn't do it or go through it. Like, for example, my last relationship was just a disaster, and that person did some really horrible things at the end, which I knew intuitively, but at the same time, I didn't know when I began, because if I did, I would have never fulfilled the contract that I signed with that person before I came into this life. So that's why beyond the veil, we don't always have memory or recollection of things. But again, through practice of meditation and such, we do have the ability to access all that information, including past lives. So I can go on and on about past lives. I did a couple of radio shows in my podcast, if you look for it, Journey into the Paranormal or Spirit Speaks Radio. And you'll find the episodes where I had Dr. Brian Weiss on the show, and Carol Bowman's been on the show several times. So go look back at that. You can find those and access those through my website. So Veronica, your question is, how do you keep the bad stuff away or keep away from bad spirits? Well, again, fear and worry and concern is the first thing to attracting things like that. You're going to find negative spirits in places where there's fear, places where there's stress, places where there's negative energy, a hospital, an airplane, a nightclub. And having that fear is just asking them to come along. So first part is not having fear of that or worrying about that, but also learning to protect and shield yourself. One of the techniques I learned is surrounding myself with a golden white light that starts coming in through the top of the head, straight down from heaven, and it surrounds your whole energy. If you reach your hands out in front of you, about 2 inches past your fingertips, is about where your energy bubble goes. Up above you, outside by side, down below into the ground. And that's your energy bubble. We are huge beings of light and love and beautiful. All these fibers of light and color. And you fill that bubble up with a golden white light, and it shields and protects you from those things. There's other methods too. I burn sage and do sage ceremonies in my house. I visualize the archangels protecting my house from the four quarters, including an angel standing on my roof. I call them in. Remember, your mind is very, very powerful. You have the ability to do it and protect yourself and shield yourself. But here's the other thing. Sometimes we can't always do that. Sometimes we're human and we make a mistake where something may attach to us. And that's why we have people that do integrated energy therapy, or IET for short, or people that do shamanic healing. I call them the auto mechanics for your soul. They go in, they clear things out, take things out, realign you, fix you up, sew you up, and send you along. And that's changed my life on multiple occasions. Thank you for your question, Veronica. Kim. So Kim asks me, have you ever had a spirit come to you, excuse me, wanting you to help someone that you have never met? Oh yeah, absolutely. Many, many times. Spirit, they're all over the place. There's dead people everywhere, people. So yeah, it's a need to like shut them down. So I was on an airplane once, thousands of 30,000 feet up in the air, and I could tell that the one stewardess, I could see the energy around her was not good. And I talked to the other stewardess. There were a couple stewardesses on the plane. I ended up taking the woman into the back, the stewardess, and started to do a reading for her. And it got very emotional. And here it was her husband that passed. And she was not happy. She was very miserable, very unhappy, very sad, and in a place of grieving. Very angry at her husband for leaving. She was a younger woman, too. I would say maybe in her 30s, early 40s. And so, yeah, the answer to that is yes. I don't always do that, though. I won't go into a grocery store in a spirit and go up to somebody and be like, oh, your dad's here. I feel like there's an appropriate time and place for things. But that particular time on the airplane, it just one thing led to another, and it just had to happen. And I know it was meant to be. So, thank you for your question, Kim. Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca. I just love how you talk. I would love to meet you. Well, I would love to meet you too, Rebecca. But you don't have a question, so let me move on to Brian. Brian says, if a building burned down, how can spirits remain? Aren't they a part of the fabric of the building? Now, that really depends there, Brian. Because spirits can attach to property. They can attach to an object. They can attach to a building. So a lot of times with hauntings and things, they're attached to that, the energy of that place. Just because the place burns down, the energy is still there, so the spirits are still there. I had a friend, a couple friends years ago, very well-known artists and authors, Pauline and Dan Campanelli, and they bought this cute little house way up in Milford, New Jersey, way up there. And the house, when they bought it, it was from, I think, the 1700s, and there was literally a tree growing out of the center of the house. It burned down before, and all that was left was the stone walls. So he bought the house, Dan and Pauline, and Dan went in there, cut down the tree, and rebuilt the whole entire house using the same frame that was there. When they were there, they often would see a woman walking down as if she was going in the front door of the house every day around the same time of day. So even though that house burnt down and there was a tree growing through the middle of it, and I mean a huge tree, the spirit every day, still around sometime in the afternoon, I forget what time, would be seen walking up the sidewalk and right through the front door and disappear. So, and Dan used to love talking about that story. Wonder how they're doing. But anyway, thank you for your question, Brian. Let's go to Ginger. Ginger says, how can we strengthen our connection to spirit? For example, hearing them and receiving messages more clearly. Well, we all receive messages more clear than you think. See, and that was one of the things I had a hard time determining in the years earlier when I was younger doing this work. The thoughts that pop up in your mind very often are not always your thoughts. They can very often be your intuition, which is your spirit guides and angels, especially when you're alone and other people aren't around you. Whereas when you're not alone and there are other people around you, the thoughts that pop up in your head can very often be the thoughts of those that are in that room with you. See, and it's kind of trying to figure out and decipher which is which. The thoughts sound like you, but it's not you. And that's the intuition. That's why we say always go with your first instinct. How many times have you said to yourself, I should have went with my first instinct. I should have picked A instead of B. We do it all the time. Same scenario here. So how do you strengthen your connection to spirit? By building your relationship with spirit. And how do you build your relationship with spirit? Through meditation, dedication, ceremony, offering up offerings to them, keeping fresh flowers around, lighting candles. There's so many things to do to build your relationship with your guides, but mainly it's all meditation. Taking some classes to help you meditate and build your relationship with them. Once you build your relationship, your guides is your connection to God and the divine. That's why we all have these spirit guides and angels. They are our direct link to God. And remember, God, excuse me, we were all built in the image of God, which makes us all gods ourselves, which is a wonderful thing. Thank you for your question, Ginger. Let's go to Colette. Let's see what time we got remaining. I'll do a couple more this week and then wait for the next video. Do you ever get reoccurring visits from nasty or very negative entities, or visits from a nuisance entity that doesn't want to leave? And if you do, how do you get rid of them? Yes, actually, Colette, I've had that happen many times. And I wouldn't say nasty, negative energies. I've had energies push me over. I went actually just recently, and this will be in my next book, where I went out to a club and had an energy follow me home, and I woke up several times in the middle of the night with this energy holding me down in my bed. It was not fun. What did I end up doing in that circumstance? I had to do a whole ceremony, which I learned when I was younger, because I was a big part of doing that. So how I do that is I call in the archangels from the four quarters. I create sacred space with smudging myself, smudging the space. I call in the angels, play a drum or a rattle to clear the energy and to welcome the energies. And I did this whole ceremony to get rid of that energy, and it worked well, thank goodness. If it didn't, I would have went to somebody that was a shaman or an integrated energy therapist. But I do believe in many cases we can do it ourselves if you know what you're doing. And as for ones that were a nuisance that just wouldn't leave me alone, you get to a point where you say, you need to leave me alone. This is my space. Go away. Unless you have something to say, you need to move on. And usually they do, actually. They're actually quite kind when it comes to that, and respectful of our space and time when you ask them. Let's go to Coco. Coco just says, I'm going to love this, but you don't have a question, Coco, so I'm going to move on to Dina. Dina says, since you and many others have said that we are all psychic and intuitive, could you discuss ways in which we can hone in and improve our psychic abilities? Well, that'll go right back to the question that Ginger asked. Was it Ginger a few messages up? It's all, again, I will always stress to people when they ask me that, meditation and dedication. You have to meditate and dedicate yourself to doing so every day and build your relationship with your guides, because the work that I do, I take no credit whatsoever. I do it and whatever, but I wouldn't be able to if it wasn't for my spirit guides and angels and my ability to listen to them. Because that's all mediumship is giving yourself the ability to listen to your guides. They'll give you all the information you want. Like when I do my predictions every year, in time and space, in the spirit world, the world that we don't see, you picture it as kind of like a cloud or a wave of energy. And that is God, the source, as we refer to it as. And within that wave of energy is all the knowledge that we could ever possibly want, both past, present, and future. We all have the ability to tap into that source. God is the source. And when we tap into that source, we can find all the answers that we need. That's how I come up with my predictions every year, and the ones that are so accurate is because I'm in a trance state and I'm connecting to that source. Everybody has that ability. So if somebody's doing it the same way that I'm doing it, they should be coming up with the same exact stuff that I come up with. It's just pretty much that simple. So thank you, Dina, for following and for your question. Let's go to Mary Ann. Joseph, what does it mean spiritually when a deer crosses in front of you and then just stares at you and does not move? Actually, stared with one and then it was three. I was wondering if it was some type of sign I need to pay attention to. You know what? That's a great question, Mary, for everybody to hear this. Spirit sends us signs through nature almost on a daily basis. But again, we were all programmed incorrectly and don't know about this and don't know how to look it up. Actually, you probably can't see behind me, but I have a bookshelf over here behind me. And on that bookshelf, I have a whole line of books on symbolism and what they mean. Because years ago, there wasn't the internet. Now we have the internet, and it's awesome. So what you need to do, Mary, is you need to go on to Google, and you need to type in, or Yahoo, or whatever search engine you use, and type in, what is the spiritual meaning of the deer? And I guarantee you that whatever comes up that you pull up is going to explain everything that's going on in your life right now. And it's going to blow your mind. It's happened to me. It's actually part of what my next book's about, because of all the symbolism that I've gotten from spirit over the years, including this tattoo that I have of the falcon god Horus. I asked spirit what I was supposed to get tattooed. The next day, at my window is a falcon knocking on the window, rattling and hawking at me. I'm very big into ancient Egypt, so I knew that was a sign from the god Horus, and that's what I did. So when you come home and you open up your front door and there's a praying mantis on your front door, go online and type in the spiritual meaning of the praying mantis. If you're sitting on a bench and a little ladybug crawls on your arm, look up the spiritual meaning of the ladybug. If you're driving down the street and a white owl flies past your car, you don't see white owls all the time, go look up the spiritual meaning. Guarantee it'll make complete sense to what's going on in your life, or it'll be a description of what you need to do in your life to help you clear things. Like when you see the vulture, for example, it's a point of clearing and getting rid of the dead, which are things that don't serve us anymore. So I encourage everybody to look at the symbolism in your life. There's a book too called I think it's Animal Speak, that talks about the different animals and the meanings of them. But everything in nature has some type of spiritual meaning to it. And you just have to connect with that. So thank you for your question, Marianne. That was a really good question. Marty doesn't say anything but can't wait. So we'll go to Robin. Robin says, do pets ever come through for you? If so, I would love to hear about some of these times and if they communicate in pictures, emotions, or sense. That's a good question, and thank you, Robin. Years ago when I was doing this work, I would have a pet come through maybe by name, or like, it's a black lab, or with a description of what the pet looks like. I don't know if it's because of how I've grown personally, or if it has to do with the shift energetically on the planet, or maybe a combination of both. But I actually now get sometimes full-fledged conversations from these animals in spirit. The first time it happened was with a horse, and it was really difficult because the horse looked just like Mr. Ed. And it talked to me, like total talk to me like I'm talking to you. And it blew my mind. And the person that I was reading, it was their horse coming through, and they knew exactly what the horse was talking about. The horse mentioned its favorite food, mentioned how it died, mentioned the whole process. It was pretty amazing. Our pets are a big part of us and connected to us contractually. We have a contract with our pets. We never pick the wrong pet because our pets actually pick us. And our pet, your dog isn't your grandma reincarnated, sorry. There's the animal kingdom, the insect kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the human kingdom when it comes to heaven. And there is a spirit behind every living creature on the planet. As the Native Indians of the country that we're in now, United States, the Native Indians believe strongly in praying. Like if they sat down and had a dinner that consisted of buffalo and corn and broccoli, they would sit and do a prayer to the spirit of broccoli, the spirit of corn, and the spirit of the buffalo, believing that it raised the energy and vibration of the food so that when they ate it and partaked in it, it raised their vibration and was more healthy for them. So thank you for your question, Robin. So where are we at? Wow, there's so many questions. It's unbelievable. I am so honored that all of you went out of your way to put all these questions up there for me. So where was I? Robin. I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to move on with this week's video and answer the rest next week. So Robin was last. Let's go with Dixie. Dixie says, I'm a true believer in reincarnation, but when one has started a new life, will you still be able to hear from them? That's a good question, actually, because years I wondered that myself. And what I've been taught by Spirit is that there is a part of all of us, including you and I, that still resides in heaven. You know, the wave that I was talking about, that wave, which is the source, which is all of the universe and God. There's a part of all of us, like on a string. We're all hanging from a string. There's a part of you and I, all of us on this planet, on that string, which is all connected DNA related to God. So, therefore, we have the ability to connect with anybody in spirit, even if they are reincarnated. I mean, I've connected with so many spirits, probably more than 100,000 energies over the past 2 decades, and that's what I get out of it, because they always come through. And to me, if they're coming through, I know some of them reincarnated. When I was younger, I used to think it was years before we would reincarnate. We would wait for our family like 100 years or more, because in spirit world, there's no time. Time is irrelevant. But Carol Bowman, that I talked about earlier, corrected me where she learned that some people leave their body, die and come right back almost instantly. Sometimes you see it in a family where somebody dies and shortly after somebody's pregnant or has a baby. There's a lot of times there's no coincidence there. I don't believe in coincidences anyway. Thank you for your question, Dixie. Let's see. Debbie says, Joseph, you haven't appeared on my Facebook for a while. Hope all is well and you continue to grow. If you are not seeing my posts on Facebook, what you need to do is go to my fan page. Hold your mouse over where it says liked, and then a little pull down menu shows up, and you want to click on get notifications. Otherwise, you're not going to see any of my posts. The only time you'll see them is if I pay Facebook for you to see them, which is just wrong, because Facebook first charges us money to try to get the likes, and then when you like the page, I got to pay to send you the actual post. But if you click on notifications, all my posts will show up in your feed. Thank you, Debbie, for bringing that up. Let's make this the final one for tonight. Christine. Christine said excited to see many of these questions answered. So thank you, Christine. So let me go to Michelle. I always see the number 1111 so often. It really freaks me out sometimes. I have read it's your angel looking after you. Your opinion would be appreciated. Actually, the best person to talk to about that would be numerologist Allison Bauman, who is awesome. We talked about that number so many times on my radio show. So many people ask that question. It can be connected to so many things. The number 1 is so powerful. The number 1111 is very, very powerful. And you should do a little research on the internet. But again, don't believe everything you read either. It's a powerful number. It's an awakening number. And I would say, Michelle, that you should be having some awakenings going on right now. So God bless you for that. So I'm going to hold off with that for now, because I seem to all of a sudden in the past few hours develop this sore throat, and I don't know why. So I'm going to stop for now. I'm going to continue answering your questions within the next week. So please wait until I post on social media another post about the Q&A before you start sending more questions. Let me catch up on the questions we got, and then we'll keep doing this every week or every other week. I love it. I love to answer your questions. Remember, we don't do personal questions here. It's all about questions about spirituality, helping to inspire and help you to grow. I am honored that you have taken time to watch my video. And for so much of you, I love you so much for watching and for following me. I wish you all the very best. And with that, remember, spring's coming up in a couple days. Make sure that you put out to the universe exactly what it is you want to manifest in your life. We worry so much because we want to go from point A to point B. But in order to get to point B, we worry so much about the in-between and what's going to prevent us from getting there. And oh my God, what if this happens? That's what ends up happening, and we never end up getting to B. Tell the universe what B is for you. Where do you want to be? And leave it at that. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. Don't worry about what's going to block you from getting there. Know that the universe will tie up all the loose ends for you, and it's as easy as peasy. Easy peasy, as they say. And you can manifest anything you want in your life realistically. Winning the lottery is not realistic, but of course having the money is, and not working so hard for it. So with that, folks, I thank you for following me. Thank you for all your questions. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Spiritman, or Psychic Medium Joseph Tittel, and Twitter, Medium J Tittel. You can find my website at josephtittel.com. Thank you again for watching. I love you all, and I tell you, spread your light, spread your love, spread the message. Signing off, folks. I hope you have a fantastic day. Love it.